On Saturday, a shocking attack was launched on the Israeli people by Hamas. The leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, responded by declaring war. The most shocking aspect of this attack was that they just walked in and shot down civilians. I want to see why this happened astrologically. Netanyahu has an ascendant conjunct Venus in Jesta. Venus gives a lot of charm and social grace. People will like him, and he will be seen as someone who values culture. However, with that nakshatra, there can also be jealousy, as this is the eldest sister who envied Rohini and essentially got their father to poison the moon. Jupiter is debilitated in the third house, and it doesn't get any benefic aspect. Here, we're looking at problems with borders. As Pluto is opposite, we also have a great deal of power being put upon this house, and there could be a significant arrogance. There can also be an element of being out of control, as well as being quite vengeful. As Pluto is in the 9th house, this is a sign of a fanatic and someone who thinks that they are more powerful than they are. Combined with that debilitated Jupiter, he is arrogant about his rulership. Jupiter debilitated in the 3rd is also really poor for communication, and this is further backed up by Mercury, the planet of communication, tightly conjunct Neptune. This means that he could be a lovely poet, but the way he speaks is really unclear, and there can be problems with being misunderstood sometimes. He's also spiritual with this combination, but I don't think this aspect of him has really helped the people. This is in the 11th house, so his peers and groups are glamorous and spiritual themselves, and he has a very good way of drawing people in with words. I bet he could probably sell anything. We also have Mercury with Ketu, which again is wonderful for spiritual friends and searching for the truth, but it is problematic from the mind. The other side, we have the moon, which is also the emotional mind, so there can be disruption here. He can worry that whether or not he is doing the right thing, and as a result make poor decisions. All the planets and houses for his mind are afflicted, and I don't think he's going to actually make good decisions, or he could be mentally destroyed. The only saving grace is that Mercury is exalted, but here it is in Papakatari, which is not good for his friends, allies, and they can turn on him. His sun is debilitated and it's afflicted by Saturn. There is a Shubha-Katari yoga, which brings a bit of power to the sun, but I think it is so damaged that we are going to see more negative sun meanings. As it's in the 12th house, when this point is triggered, there can be problems with foreign affairs that impact his career. Now keep that in mind, remember that part later, 4 degrees of Libra. Saturn is in the 10th house, and this can often be linked to government work, and next to Mars, this can be the military as well. I don't know too much about this guy, but I've heard his name thrown about on the news throughout my whole life. He has had many stints in the big chair, and from a quick scan through, I think he's mostly led a turbulent rule. And looking at this, whenever he is in power, I believe that there will be some kind of military action or mobilization. However, he is very hard-working, but with that debilitated Sun and Saturn in the 10th, he doesn't confidently make decisions. He's good at the administration side, but I don't think he's the sort of person who is making his own decisions. If anything, I'm starting to wonder if we have a bit of a puppet show going on here with this guy. Mars gets Digbala here, and this is what he really is being driven by, the great ability to be a leader and sit in the hot seat. Of course, this is surprising with a debilitated Sun, but an exalted or very strong, but with a Mars that has Digbala and gets a lot of strength, he is ambitious and he can get what he wants because he is brave and forward. He's had a successful career thanks to this positional strength, but the chart is also weak and it cannot be propped up solely by one strong planet. As a result, we may have someone here who doesn't make a decision until it's too late, and then he over-responds as the ends justify the means. Personally, I think that's dangerous. I wouldn't vote for him based on that chart, that's for sure. Now let's have a look at the attack on Gaza. I said to you, remember, Netanyahu's sun is in Libra at 4 degrees. Can you see? 0 degrees, we have Ketu, and at 2 degrees, we have Mars. Mars and Ketu together can create a disassociation and self-sacrifice mentality, which can be linked to acts of terrorism. This is the literal representation that the terrorists think, and he is a very weak leader as it is on his debilitated sun. Venus is the 7th and 12th ruler, so this is about contracts and foreign affairs, and that's in the 10th house over his Mars. This is what is causing him the most problems at the moment. Of course, his aggression and ambition are extreme, as Rahu is aspecting very tightly. The 3rd house, where his Jupiter sits, has been influenced by Pluto since 2020, and I'm pretty sure he's been talking about the borders this whole time. Now, it's easy to see things like this retrospectively, but it's very difficult to make an accurate prediction about what will happen next, but I will give it a go. Ketu will be moving into his 11th house of friends, which can cause some issues with his allies. In February 2024, the Sun and Mars will pass over his natal Jupiter, which is a problematic planet due to the debilitation. He could make a wrong decision about something to do with borders, and there could be anger. We will see a planetary war between Venus and Mars around the 22nd of February, and this could spell out for something quite violent. In March, there's another planetary war between Saturn and Venus, and Mars is exactly opposed his own Mars. In April, Mars and Saturn will oppose his natal Mars and Saturn at the same time, and he will experience a nodal return, which can be quite powerful for change and flipping fortunes on their head. And there can be a massive changes around this time for him, and his happiness may be affected by all of these planets, and there could be a loss in the homeland, but there could also be a destruction or full-out war continuing, so I do not see this letting up with these planetary wars. The attack started at 6:30 a.m. and the first things first, the chart ruler is in the 1st house, and as much as it looks great with the exaltation of Virgo, it's in a very powerful Arista Yoga with the 12th ruler. Also, the 8th house is packed, and the 8th house is considered an evil house, as is the 12th. Uranus is at 28 degrees and it is stationary, and that's significant as this is around the degree that the eclipse was in April. Rahu is Gandanta, which is out of control, and then we have Jupiter right in the middle, which expands things. Not only that, the 2nd house contains the Mars-Ketu combination, which has terrorism properties, as I said. This is a very violent chart, and with Neptune in the 7th, there's confusion about the opposition. Israel declared war at 1300 or 1 p.m. and this changes the ascendant to a Sagittarius. Just like in Netanyahu's own chart, the most violent combination of Ketu and Mars is in the 11th house of friends and associates. He is going to be betrayed from the inside. That's what I think anyway. Not only that, this could potentially end his political career. I don't think he is a good leader for Israel. And the sooner he's out, I think, the better. And there could even be some kind of peace if he goes as his chart. I just don't like it with what's going on at the moment with the planetary movements. I think the UK will get involved, as will the EU and the USA. But the USA is probably going to be too busy with its own Pluto return. Another thing about the chart of this day of the attack is that there are 2 formations of yods, and I was taught that this was the finger of God. Interestingly, this is a Hebrew word meaning the hand of God, and it's pronounced yod. In astrology, the yod can bring significant predestined and fated events. The yod is not an uncommon formation if you use the outer planets, as Pluto and Neptune are usually in a sextile position. All you need is for another planet to move in an exact 6-8 position to them both, and you have the yod formation. And as you can see, there is a 3rd yod in this chart with Venus. As I said, 3 yods. This is a day of fate. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.